Hey guys, and welcome back to the main phase. It's B here. Today I'm going to be sharing the deck that I'm going to be using in the Xyz Festival that's happening tomorrow, actually. So the Xyz Festival is an event where you can only use Xyz monsters. So I can't use a deck that I would be more comfortable with, such as say Crusadia, for example, which you should check out the last video, by the way. But for this deck, I'm going to be using a budget Utopia list. This is effectively three of the structure decks mashed together with some rare crafts, the bundle cards, and some general. And there are only for this deck, you only have to craft two cards for it. Though actually, I'd advise if you have it, you should probably put in a Zeus. So for the deck, for the list, right? So we've got uh first, we've got Ash Blossom, which is just from the bundle. Then we've got one ZW Asura Strike. I really like this card. If your opponent has a bunch of monsters, you can equip it with the Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray, and then that will let you attack all of your opponent's monsters, and then that will be quite useful. Then we've got the triple Zubababancho Gagagacoat. This card's also quite good. If you control a Zubaba or Gagaga, you can summon it from your hand, and then you can special summon a Go or Dododo from your graveyard, but you can only summon Xyz monsters first turn, which isn't a problem for this deck. This card just enables you to go into certain Xyz monsters quite quickly. Then we got the one Dodododwarf Gogogogloves Glove. This is just another extender. This is really good as like a backup for the Zubababancho, as in it's something that you can summon from the graveyard with Bancho's effect, which is quite useful. Then we got triple S Armed Sage. This is just a great card. It just searches any ZW, which is probably going to be either the Asura Strike, this or maybe the Tornado Bringer, because you can equip those from the hand. Or if you're on 2,000 life points less than your opponent, you can also search the Pegasus Twin Saber, which then you can equip it. Yeah, it's also just a free extender to go into an Xyz monster. Then we got triple Zexal Sage, ZS, Ascended Sage. This is arguably the better of the two. When you use it as Xyz material, you search a rank up magic normal spell. That's going to be your rank up magic Zexal formation, which then will just rank up any Utopia, and it can also banish itself from the graveyard to draw a card if your life points are the correct amount. Then we've got one Sylphid Wing. This is good for just generally beating over big monsters, as it makes the monster very big. It becomes like 1600. Plus, it can act as a third material on certain Utopia monsters, which can be useful in some situations. Most notably on the base Utopia, it can be used to negate a third attack, which is quite useful. We've got triple Astraltopia. This is quite useful. Just searches the Zexal Construction, which then searches which then searches Arm Sage, which then goes into an Xyz monster. It's also just a free extender if you have the right setup. We've got one Tornado Bringer. This is another way to beat over your opponent's big monsters. It also provides battle protection and targeting of protection, which is quite useful. Then we've got Pegasus Twin Saber. This is one of the best Zexal. I'd argue this is the best Zexal weapon. It's just a negate, which is just like just the ability to just negate your opponent's plays and have if you summon, where is it? Ultimate Utopia Ray. This card becomes two interruptions in one monster, which is really useful because you have the negate from the Pegasus Twin Saber and then the negate from its own effect, which is quite powerful. Then we've got one copy of Raigeki, just a good card. Be sure not to use this though if you're gonna go for the Utopia double OTK, because the thing that Utopia double summons can't attack directly. That's one thing to know. We've got we've got one Lightning Storm. This just is back row removal against something like Eldritch, which we expect to be quite popular in the event. Or it's just monster removal if you need it. We've got one Shining Draw. This just combos with the Shining Field, depending on if you need it for that specific time. We've got free Zexal Formation. This is quite useful. It just lets you make one of the rank 5s in the deck, so say Leo Arms, Dragonic Ultimate Utopia Ray, or Leo Utopia Ray. Leo Utopia Ray being the best one most of the time. Zexal Construction, this is amazing. It searches the Zexal Sages or the Zexal or the rank up magic. It just searches basically everything you need in the deck, and that's just a very powerful effect. We got Zexal Field. This is just a way to not only get more materials onto your Xyz monsters, which lets you use their effects more, but also it provides pseudo protection in the sense that it means that your rank up magic specifically have a bit of more insurance because they can't be responded to, which is quite useful. But also it like depending on if you have other effects, like I don't know if you're trying to beat over someone with a Forbidden Chalice, they can't respond to that, for example. But that's kind of a niche situation. I've got three Xyz Change Tactics. This is also a really good card. Basically, because you're summoning so many Utopia monsters, just in your basic combo, you'd go Utopia double, then Dragonic Halberd, then Utopia Dragner, then probably into a Leo Ray. That's 3 draws off this, which is really powerful. You can only control 1 though. That's the only downside. We've got 3 Mystical Space Typhoon. You just want that battery removal. I would replace this with either more Lightning Storms, or Cosmic Cyclones if you have the budget. I do, but for this budget build, I'm going to leave it as just the MSTs. Then we've got 3 Forbidden Chalice. This is just a generic negate. It's just a really good card. Then we've got 1 Double or Nothing. This is an OTK piece, or it just works with the Utopia double. A lot of the time, you're just going to be going for the OTK if you have the ability to, which is just quite like, just generally what you do. Actually, I'm just going to quickly go. Just replace this guy with the Samurai because he's not budget. We've got 1 Utopia, we've got 1 Solemn Judgment from the starter, then we've got 1 Numbers Protection also from the bundle, no, from the start, from the structure deck, which is just a good negate card. I believe it's searchable by something. It's also like resets itself to the field, which is quite useful. We've got 3 Utopia. This is just because you can go into so many Xyz monsters off the Utopia, so it's really good to have 3 copies. We've got 1 Rhapsody and Berserk. This is just one of the budget Xyz monsters I'm running. Even if you don't have any materials on it, you can still attach it to a Dragner to give it a plus 1200 attack. But if it does have materials, you can use it to exile your opponent's stuff from their graveyard, which is useful against stuff like Eldritch, which has a lot of graveyard effects. We got 1 Diamond Crab King. This is just a good way to beat over your opponent's monsters and its number. We got 1 Gagaga Samurai. This can make 2 attacks in the battle phase, which can be used to OTK if you don't quite have lethal. We've got 1 number 39 Utopia Double. This is probably the best Xyz monster in the deck, to be honest. You can always obviously use it to OTK by searching Double or Nothing and just going into base Utopia and swinging for 10k. But you can also use it to go into the Utopia Dragner, which then lets you go into more combos. This is one of the 2 crafts you need for the deck, which is for this version of the deck, you only actually need 30 SRs, no, 30 SR juice, and then 60 ultra rare essence, or 1 SR and 2 URs. Though one of them's technically optional, but yeah, this is just a really good card in general. We've got 1 Leo Arms. This is just filler, to be honest. It's just an Xyz monster that's 3000 beta. It can't attack directly, but other than that, it's fine. And it searches stuff, and then it also, if you can summon it with another Utopia, it can give it a 3000 boost, which is really big. We've got 1 Ultimate Dragonic Ray. This is good going second, as it can just negate a bunch of opponent's effects. But other than that, it's just sort of decent. We've got 1 Dragonic Halberd. This is like the counterpart to the Leo. We've got 2 Engineer, we've got 2 of this. This is quite good because it searches your spells and traps, which then means that you can search, say, I believe you can search Zexal Construction, which then searches your entire deck, which is quite useful. Then you've got 2 Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray. This is a really good card. It can equip a Pegasus Saber from your deck without being able to be negated, and then that leaves you with 2 negates. The first negate doesn't even require you to detach material, which means that it doesn't run out over time, which is really powerful. And also it halves the attack, which means you can go for game quite easily. I've got 1 Zeus. This card is, I'd argue it's optional, but you should have one anyway. It's good in any deck that usually goes for an Xyz summon. It just nukes the board, especially with the Zexal Field. It has extra utility because you can equip stuff from your extra deck to your Utopia monsters as you're summoning them, and then you can make Zeus, and you'll have more material on the Zeus, so you can use it multiple times in a turn, or even in a chain, depending on the situation. And we've got the 1 Utopia Dragner. This is the only mandatory ultra aircraft for the deck. It's really good. The second effect is just sort of okay, but the first effect lets you summon out the Utopia Ray off just the Utopia double, and then you have the Dragner, which is 6,000 attack, by the way, if you use Utopia double to make it, and then also the 2 interruptions from the Utopia Ray, which is really powerful. So yeah, that's the deck profile for the Utopias. There's a lot of upgrades you can make for this deck. I recommend checking out the interview that I did with Metal God. I'll leave it in the description. That has more of the in-depth lists, and if you have like a lot more crafts for the deck, then you can make that type of version. I don't at the moment, and this is generally a budget version anyway. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.